And now to my final topic. Africa's diaspora is driving innovation and shaping leadership pathways across the continent. I recently spoke with Nnamdi Ndukwu-Eze, the CEO of the Motherland Hub, about how initiatives like his upcoming Motherland Summit are creating opportunities for African youth and bridging leadership gaps. The discussion centred on leveraging digital economies, cross-border collaboration, and how the diaspora can play a more prominent role in policy influence and social economic development. Nnamdi Ndukwu-Eze, thank you so much for joining me in Westminster. It's a very windy day. I know our viewers won't be able to. It's so windy, but season's greetings. It's really nice to get out of the studio.
It is.
And really, I think at this time of the year, all of us look forward to what's going to be happening over the next 12 months. And
Exactly.
I've got to say, considering just how much the world has changed in 2024, so many elections and results we weren't expecting, we didn't really hear much from the youth. I think you may disagree with me, but talk to me about how you are going to convene the youth. I know you've got the Motherland Summit coming up next year. Talk to me about those plans, what's happened this year and what you hope is going to happen from the African youth within the diaspora in 2025.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here in Channel's windy London, Miss Juliana, and it's well, I wouldn't say the youth have been inactive. I'd say perhaps we've been quietly planning for the new year. There have been a lot of elections, as you know, and I think there's perhaps been a general feeling that there are different types of avenues that youth can use to take initiative. There's the political sphere, but there's also the economic sphere. And I am COO at Motherland Hub. We're a very young team. We started about 18 months ago. And our mission is to transform brain drain from the African continent, the flight of top quality talent, into brain gain. And how we do that is we work with, we're building relationships with stakeholders in the African continent. And we're building our cloud platform so that stakeholders in the continent can contact and work with talent from the African diaspora and source solutions and innovations from this talent without necessarily the need for relocation. So we're really focused on youth economic leadership. There are different avenues, as I said, but economic leadership can then lead to advising on policy and what needs to be done in different fields. So the youth aren't inactive, we're quietly planning. As you alluded to, we have our annual summit, Mount Motherland, coming up in February, on February 8th, Saturday, February 8th, at London School of Economics and Political Science. That will be the Youth Forum. And on February 9th, on Sunday, that'll be at another partner, SOAS, a University of London. That will be the summit proper. And the Youth Forum is a very good chance to gather together youth, young innovators in the diaspora who are determined to drive innovation on the continent. The time, I think, has come that we begin to see Africa and the diaspora as one big loop. And we are at Motherland are very firmly confident that we can turn the youth in the diaspora into Africa's global workforce.
Amen. Hear, hear. I'm up for it. I think I'm still considered youth in African perspectives.
You are.
Anyway, I want to talk more about the diaspora and the practicality and the implementation of some of the pledges that are likely to be made at your upcoming summit. I've had a look at the guest list and it's really impressive. It's the who's who of leadership across the globe. But how does that turn into tangible results? Because I do find that sometimes, that diaspora term, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship with diaspora. Yes, they want the remittances, sometimes our opinions, but then it seems to stop dead. How are you going to ensure that, it's not just a talking head,
it's not just
Instagram pics event, but actually the change makers will listen to some of your opinions?
That's a very good question. I think practicality is our primary importance, is our primary focus. And the forum, first of all, the Youth Forum, let's start with that. Obviously, I know we have a lot of important people from the World Economic Forum, head of Africa, the head of the World Trade Organization, who will be coming for the summit proper. So that's Mr. Chido Muniati, head of Africa at the WEF, and Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, head of the World Trade Organization. But even focusing at the Youth Forum, first of all, there are a lot of really young, enterprising people there who are in the diaspora or international citizens, as we like to call them. So they're not permanently based on the continent. And they have businesses that are impacting the African diaspora and also impacting the continent who will be speaking. I think it's important, first of all, that we activate the mindset of young people in the diaspora, that they begin to see that, hey, I can be out here, but I can be directly working with partners on ground. I mean, we have people like Izzy Obeng, who is the CEO and founder of Foundervine, and they do a lot of great work supporting and accelerating startups from the African diaspora in the UK, but also helping entrepreneurs in Ghana. We have people like Hamid Ibrahim, who's the CEO and founder and co-founder of Kugali Media, who, as you know, partnered with Walt Disney Studios, a couple years ago to produce Iwaju, which is about futuristic Lagos. And he's a Ugandan CEO producing a show about futuristic Lagos, but he's over here. People like Jermaine Craig, who's the founder of Kwanda, who works with diasporan communities to invest in projects and initiatives on the continent. And they're investing in over 10 countries. So I think it's important that youth from the diaspora see the proof of concept, that you can be working with people, you can be here. And in this forum, we gather together and we inspire ourselves. So it's time to think of ourselves as solvers and innovators for the continent. The practicality point as well is further buttressed and supported by our platform that we are building. Digital innovation is key for us.
Absolutely.
And we're building our cloud platform, which will connect stakeholders on the continent with solvers from the African diaspora globally, so that there's this direct connection. So it's not just the forum. The forum will be a wonderful opportunity. The second day, obviously, in terms of the summit, the young innovators from here will be able to meet African leadership from the continent. But every subsequent forum, you'll be able to hold us to account and say, these are the things that we've done. These are the innovations that have come out from the diaspora.
Yes.
And these are the new solutions that we're working with stakeholders on ground.
Absolutely, and hopefully it will lead to the changes you seek to find. We're running out of time, but I do want to ask you really about cultural identity as well. Identity politics has raised its head, most notably from a young lady who works just a stone's throw away from where we're sitting.
Look,
a lady called Kemi Badenoch. I don't know if you've heard about her, but away from all the salacious headlines, it's raised some really important questions about diaspora identity, where we sit, where we belong. And I think since the pandemic and since a lot of people spent lots of time at home, you realise that leadership and success is not just about ticking all those boxes.
No.
It's also about mental health as well.
It is.
And, feeling that you're walking within your purpose. How important are those discussions? Are you having those discussions amongst your friends where it's not just striving in the city, but it's also feeling accepted back home, happy in your working environment and, working for impact?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's a very good question. I think at the team, at the hub, at Motherland Hub, one of the things we found over the past sort of year and a half, talking to a lot of people from the diaspora, is there is this sort of dual identity, the quagmire, where do I sit? But we see it as a potential asset. It's a dual identity asset. You have access to both places. There is that feeling, okay, well, perhaps I don't fully fit in there. I'm going back home for holiday, or perhaps I've grown up here, predominantly. But it's an asset, and how we're going to show it's an asset is, again, by the summit, by the forum. The people at the Youth Forum who are showing and proving that you can come together as a community and make impact back home. Look, a lot of people who are going to be perhaps skeptical and say, yeah, but perhaps I've heard people say this before, that I can be a diasporan and I can contribute more than remittances. But even from a remittance point of view, remittance contributions into Africa is twice the amount of FDI. So we know that the African diaspora comes together financially. Now we need to take it a step further. Innovations, solutions. And for anybody who's skeptical or perhaps going through a dual identity crisis, I say, look, come for the forum, let's have a conversation. Meet the speakers who are there. You'll find out more information on our website, www.motherlandhub.org, or our Instagram, @motherland.hub, or our LinkedIn, just Motherland, space between mother and land. Or if you want to pop an email,
we'll put it all on the screen for you.
There you go. But I think it's important to know that frequency of contact is what I think will solve that identity crisis. And that doesn't mean you're necessarily on the ground, but it means you're in touch with valuable African communities here. I find that when our people from various African countries come outside the continent, we're actually more amenable to each other. It's I'm a Nigerian, you're a South African, but hey, we're all African and we're all laughing. And one of my closest friends is Congolese. you know, and I think it's important to see that sort of ambition and community. And to that sort of perspective, I credit groups like NIDCOM, the Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, who's one of our earliest partners in building and piloting our cloud platform next year, under the leadership, obviously, of Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, who has worked very hard to engage the diaspora productively in nation building. With working with them, piloting this platform next year, building this out to other diaspora commissions and ministries and departments across the African continent. Say, look, we're pioneering a new form of private-public partnership where we can engage the talents and skills of our most talented diasporans, come together, pull together, build a global workforce for Africa, and source skills that are hard to source on the continent. And let's just start building. And we're excited. We think, community building, innovation, brain drain, and turning that into brain gain. These are, as you can see, passionate focuses of mine. Not easy things to do, we know that, but we're building strong partnerships, I say, with NIDCOM, with the Royal African Society, and with other stakeholders, and we're determined to push forward.
Well, I can feel your optimism. It's very infectious and really insightful as well. Thank you so much, Nnamdi Nduka Eze. Of course, you'll be on the show, hopefully in the studio.
I will.
Where it will be warmer, giving us more.
I don't have to wear this.
You won't have to wear that. Well, maybe not. But giving us more insights.
If the heating is not working, then I'll go.
Yes. The UK too does have its problems, but at least the African diaspora, as you quite rightly said, we just get on, don't we? We get on and we push forward. What a great positive message to end the show at the end of the year. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.